Please be seated. I was asked today before the invocation to give just a few remarks. My name is Richard Green. I'm one of the chaplains over at the VA hospital. I served in the 1st Brigade, 1st Infantry Division in Iraq in 2003-2004. And I was asked to share just a few moments about the services or the ministry of the chaplains with our troops in combat. And I just want to read to you a little piece of a diary. It says, day 212, Tuesday morning, 6th of April of 2004. Today started as any other day. I awoke, I ran and I took a shower. I attended the XO briefing and the battlefield update brief and went to the chapel to work on my services for the week. And this was Holy Week for us. After lunch, Al, who was one of the battalion chaplains, and I went to the chapel to watch a little news before we started back to work. The chaplain assistants came in and said Charlie Med was receiving casualties. We headed toward the clinic, not realizing the day that was ahead of us. 2 4 Marines had gotten into a firefight in Ramadi. 3 soldiers and 1 K.I.A. came in. 1 was shot in the jaw. A little later, more Marines, wounded, came into the station. All through the day, wounded and dead came in. All of our unit ministry teams were present. We took turns going in with the Marines and the soldiers to pray with them, to talk with them, to calm them as the doctors and the nurses worked on them. We also had chaplains that were outside who would go and pray for the dead as they were sealed in the body bags. There were a total of about 5 transports into Charlie Med with gunshot wounds, wounds from RPG, injuries from IEDs, and other explosions. The fighting started around 11:30, and it continued until around 2100 that evening. From Ramadi, moving all the way back up toward K.I.A. We took in about 14 wounded and 10 KIAs. The tragic moment of all was a truck coming in at 2100 hours with 7 KIAs, all from one unit. I share that with you to share a little bit with you. That's a little bit about our ministry. That's not a typical day. Most days were one in which the soldiers got up in the mornings, they attended their briefings, they donned their gear, they loaded up on their vehicles, they went out on the mission, they interacted with the populace, they accomplished their mission, and they come back for the day. None of them knew if they were coming back at the end of the day. None of them knew if their buddy was coming back. But they did it faithfully each and every day. As the chaplains, we were there to support them. We provided services for them, Bible studies. I had one soldier came up to me and says, "Thank you, chaplain, for being here, because you give us 2 days a week. You give us Sunday out of a Monday." Because every day was the same, except for days that we had when it was kind of unusual, like the day that I just read to you. But we were there to support them. We went out with them on their missions. And our mission is not only to make sure that their freedom, their free exercise of religion is guaranteed for them, but we have a threefold mission with that. That is to nurture the living, to care for the wounded, and to honor the dead. And that's the mission that we accomplish. And when we lose our soldiers, we would have a similar scene as this: an inverted weapon in the ground, the helmet and dog tags hanging on top, and the boots at 45 degrees at the bottom. The battalion of the soldiers that are Marines that were killed in action, they will be in formation in a circle around that display. And we would, after the services was completed, each of the soldiers would in turn come up. Some would salute, some of them would kneel, and some of them would just touch the boot, and then they would march off. And many of them, as soon as the ceremony was over, they would cry, they would share their thoughts, their prayers, and as soon as it was over, many of them would get back on their vehicles and head back on the streets again or another mission. It was always nonstop. But it was a great honor and privilege for me and the other chaplains who worked under me. It was always a privilege for us to serve our heroes. Even though they would not claim the title, we considered them heroes for what they did day in and day out. And I want to just thank you for the opportunity to be here, but thank you for this opportunity to remember the sacrifice and service that each of our Marines and soldiers, airmen, and sailors gave over there